Kaya pa ba, ate girl?
Hi! So, yes, recap lang. My pre-med was PSYCH from Diliman, and now I'm in my second year in FEU-NRMF. Okay, so to start off, we just finished our promotion boards this Friday, last Friday. So yes, the semester is officially over for me. Okay, so with that, I thought of wrapping things up a bit. If by second semester regular ka pa, so yes, you're a candidate for promotion to second year. Pero what if hindi? Let's say, by the end of second semester, meron kang na-fail na isa or dalawa. And of course, you have to retake it. So given naman na i-retake mo yun. Pero ang difficult is, for example, you failed Physiology B, second semester ng Physiology. What's difficult is, if it's the only subject that you failed, Physiology B lang talaga, walang summer classes. So, come next first semester, itong August 2021, Physiology B lang yung iti-take mo. You can't move on to, you can't take the other second year subjects in advance. So, parang meron kong one semester na one lang talaga yung subject mo. So, or yung advice to us from back then, parang midterms pa lang ng second semester ng first year is, if you have a lot of subjects na medyo delix ka, parang papasa ka if you get 90 plus sa finals, yung medyo delix na yun. The best thing to do, sabi, is to prioritize the subjects na you're safe. So, if you're sure na safe ka sa, let's say, mga HSB mo, keep it and then focus on it. And then yung mga subjects na delix, like I said, laging biochem or physiology talaga, you can drop them and then come next sem, first semester, you can focus on them na. And hindi na sila mag-interfere dun sa mga safe subjects mo. And apart from that, at least hindi ka one subject lang. And of course, it would be sad kasi you have to pay tuition again, do the activities again. Yun kasi yun, it's not so much the test. Parang, well, for me, hindi masyadong stressful na i-retake mo yung test. Pero yung activities kasi, yun yung very stressful na ulitin. The manuals, yun. Nakakapagod talaga mag-manuals. Sa HSB, nakakapagod yung manuals kasi you really have to draw. Yung mga ibang manuals naman sa other subjects, it's writing, handwritten. Okay, so now you've moved on to second year. Let's say regular ka for your whole first year and candidate ka na for your second year. Congratulations! Your options kapag pasok mo ng second year is mag 33 units ka or 34.5 units. So, meron mga same subjects in the 33 units and the 34.5 units. These are the subjects that you have to take for 2 semesters. Let's say, pharmacology. You have pharmacology A and pharmacology B. So, sa both 33 and 34.5 units, we all have pharma. We have patho, basic surgery, and clinical diagnosis. Yun yung 4 subjects na you have for both A and B, first semester and second semester. And then the difference is yung mga other subjects na you don't have to take for 2 semesters. Let's say, in my case, I took 33 units kasi. We had microbiology, physiological obstetrics, yun lang yata. Ano ba? Pabagay ba namin tinake? Yun lang yata. Oh, research din pala. You have to do it for 1 year. So, yun. And then, yung 34.5 units, meron silang iba, like, parasitology, and pedia, premed, bioethics. Basta, mas marami talaga yung 34.5 Pero yun, kasi meron naman sana akong choice between 33 and 34.5 units, pero ewan ko, I opted for the 33 units. Pero sabi nila, hearsay, sabi-sabi, it's better if you take the 34.5 units muna kasi parang dun ka stress kapag 34.5 and medyo mas chill sa first semester daw. Hindi ko naman masyadong gets though, pero yun, it's good to take 34.5 daw muna. And then, medyo chill ka na second semester since mas konti yung load mo. Pero kasi, yung mga major subjects nyo, same lang rin naman. So yeah, ikaw, kung anong gusto mo. If you think mas, well, for me kasi, I saw OB and Pedia. Parang I thought na it's better to take OB muna, syempre baby muna, before you go to children. Logic. So out of the subjects na kailangan mo i-take for the 2 semesters, pinaka-konting load is basic surgery. 4 units lang siya. Compare mo sa ibang subjects na 6-5 units, ganon. There's also less time for surgery, like half day lang siya. And then 1 session for lecture, 1 session for small group discussions. So, mas konti lang rin yung topics niya. Although, mahaba pa rin kasi per chapter pa rin ni Schwartz. So, mahaba-haba pa rin. Pero if you compare it to other subjects, my God, Patho, hindi ka mag-survive if you don't aral-based sa book, sa Robbins. Really, you have to read Robbins. And it's really very long. There are a lot of concepts to memorize. Pero if you listen to first year and if you retain the things that you learned in first year, I think it would be easy lang. And more than memorization, it's sa Patho. The question is always, what was normal? And then, what went wrong? Yun nga, it's pathology. So, what went wrong? And then, what happens sa normal functions if this thing becomes wrong, ganon. Basta ganon. So, ganon sa Patho. And paulit-ulit talaga siya for Patho. And, well, for most subjects, I tried. Pero Patho talaga pinaka-finocus ko kasi 50% daw yung mortality nila. What I do is, before the lecture, I read the trances, the book, the figures sa book. Kailangan talaga yung figures. And siguro kasi visual learner ako. So, it's easier to understand kung ano yung nasa figures. At saka, test yourself by looking at pictures then, the figures. Parang, what's happening in the figure? Can you teach it to someone else in your own words? Ganon ako mag-aral for Patho. And then, like I said, 4 times ko siya binabasa. Ideally 4 times sa isang buong semester. So, before the lecture, and then, while in the lecture, so, syempre, kasabay mo yung book or yung trans mo while listening to the lecture. And then, before the shifting exam for that topic, which should be by next week noon. And then, before the major exams. And cumulative kasi yung Patho. So, for example, sa midterms, meron kayong 5 topics. Yun yung focus nyo, pero meron kayong some topics from prelim, some questions from prelim. So, cumulative siya. So, pagdating ng finals, meron kang prelims and midterms topics. Okay? So, yun. Pharmacology naman. Dito ko pinaka-nawindang. And yung kaba ko, through the roof talaga sa pharma. Kasi, wala akong experience talaga sa pharmacology. So, grabe yung kaba ko. Sa Patho kasi parang, I studied physiology na. Medyo ganun din, pero kaya na, I think. Sa pharma naman, hindi pa rin kasi ako confident sa biochemistry. And, well, sa pharmacology, maraming biochem na involved. So, grabe talaga yung kaba ko. So, what I did was, for every topic, meron akong summary chart. I do a summary chart in G Slides So, sa summary chart, it's really just a summary of the drugs na diniscuss. And the summary chart helps in organizing the categories of drugs. For example, sa antihypertensive drugs. Okay, so lalagay ka dito, loop diuretics. Ano yung mga loop diuretics? Ano yung mga beta blockers? And then you list them down. And then, I print that out. Then while studying, dun ako nag-note sa charts na mismo. So, dun mo makikita na, for example, dito sa drug na to, ito yung adverse effect niya. Tapos dito rin pala, same. So, makikita mo yung patterns na within this group, these are the adverse effects na similar lang or ano yung difference niya from the other group, ano yung receptors, or ano yung mga uses niya. Is it for emergency use or intraoperative? So yun, madali siyang i-note. And at one glance, may kita mo na yung buong topic. So yun, usually talaga, it's really the summary paper na one page lang. You can do it in one page. And hindi naman siya nilagrong one page lang, alam mo na. Before coming up with that one page, nabasa mo na siya thrice kasi habang gumagawa ka ng chart, nadadaanan mo na siya, diba? So, although hindi siya deep reading talaga, you become familiar with the drugs. And in the first place, you don't really have to memorize each and every drug. You memorize a category. And then, ano yung main characteristic ng category na yun. And just familiarize yourself with the drugs under that category. And then, ang ino-note mo lang, ayun, isang skill yon talaga. Ang pag-note ng pinaka-important details for this drug. For example, itong esmolol na to, it's for intraoperative. Ba't hindi yung lumabas sa exam? Yun, main topics lang. Meron kasing mga nice to know lang talaga. So, it's a skill to know and to discern which information is very important or relevant for the topic. And of course, it's the applications of the drugs. Hindi naman pwedeng alam mo lang na beta blocker ito. Okay lang ka gagamit ng beta blocker. Is it a first line medication? Ganon. Ako, nag-aral ng pharma. So, I hope it works for you. And, I think umiikot kasi yung pharma, yung nag-lecture sa pharma. So, although I want to give the chart to you, most likely na iba na yung lecturer next time and medyo iba, although syempre same concepts lang, pero medyo iba na syempre mga drugs involved. Pero yun, try, message me, maybe, comment. So yun, ayun pala. And I actually got this book from book sale. Kaano lang to, maganda siya. I'll show you one. So, here, actually, hindi to naglalayo sa mga sample exams, questions sa exams. And, ayan, when studying, you have to know kung ano yung effect ng gamot, saan siya may epekto, an organ, specific receptor. So, yeah, it's really nice. Let's browse through it. Konti lang. Yan. So, I think it's a good review kung naaral mo na yung pharma. And it's really cases, kaya mas ma-appreciate mo yung uses ng drugs. So, yun. Okay, so yung nahirapan naman ako na I thought I would fail is clinical diagnosis. Hirap siya. Well, may ibang candidates kasi for difficult ones like microbiology. Advantageous talaga for medtechs ang second year. You have microbiology and parasitology. And sa microbiology, nahirapan talaga ako. Like, paano to aaralin? Ang daming bacte. I didn't like bacte. Pero gusto kong virology yun. Virology over bacte. Pero nga, memorization talaga siya. Pure memorization for micro and para sana. Hindi ko pa alam. Pero memorization talaga siya. Wala ko ibang masabi. Memorization for micro. So, hindi siya masyadong mahirap in that case. Mahirap lang siya kasi nga, first time ko talaga ma-encounter yun. What was really difficult was clinical diagnosis. So, clinical diagnosis is made up of 3 subjects, para siyang mega subject. You have radiology, you have internal medicine, and you have clinical pathology. So, tatlo siya. Magkakaiba rin yung lectures, iba yung topics. Pero, you take one exam under the subject clinical diagnosis. So, yung radiology, not that difficult. We had radiology in first year naman na with gross HSP. Internal medicine, it wasn't that difficult in the sense na we studied it in physical diagnosis, so medyo safe ka doon. Clinical pathology, short topics, yes, short topics siya. Pero, clinical applications din laboratory procedures siya usually. So, for medtechs again, ang daming for medtechs talaga first, second year. So, I hope you remember the things that you learned during your medtech days, kung medtech ka man. And, I'll give you a sample case. Apart from the lectures, kasi we have wards. And, doon, we try to practice taking history, analyzing cases, and then, of course, you take the history, and then you get asked, how would you manage the patient after taking the history? What would you ask? What would you request? Follow up, mga differential diagnosis mo, and what would be the common signs and symptoms ng differential diagnosis mo, or bakit siya hindi mo consider, bakit siya mako-consider. So, it's really case-based. So, kailangan, ang dami mong alam talaga for it. And, syempre, may incorporate mo yung physical findings, physical examination findings, radiological findings, lab findings, lab results. Talagang incorporate mo siya in everything. So, I'll try to show you an example from this book. Galing rin ito sa book sale. Grabe, na-enjoy ko yung paghahanap ng libro sa book sale. And they're kind of cheap, I think. Ito, $3.50 lang to. So anyway, this is for USMLE Step 2 daw. Clinical skills. So yes, clinical diagnosis. Close enough. I'll show you one example. Ganito rin yung OSPE namin and clinical diagnosis. So ito yung ginagawa sa clinical diagnosis. I'll show you. So here you have the case, diba? Difficulty, memory, and then you have the whole thing. Ito, this is like, well, this is the case, pero it would be nice if you could write the history in such a nice way then. So that's what we're practicing in Word. And then once you get a gist of the case, what do you ask sa history? Of course, meron tayong format, pero what do you want to take note, especially given na kung ano yung case natin, or in the subject itself, what's the chief complaint. So, dun mag-iikot yung history mo. There, may mga checklist siya. And from what you gathered, let's say, dun pa lang sa history, ano na yung mga differential diagnosis mo. And then, you do the physical examination, ano yung result ng physical examination, and what would you expect sa mga differential diagnosis mo. And then here, it's nice kasi after that, they give you a physical examination findings for the case. Yan. Okay, so ano yung mga abnormal? For example, hypertensive. Then you take note of what's not normal and what's normal. Para by this time, na down to 4 na yung diagnosis mo from 9, diba? And then follow up, what would you request for the patient? And then at the back, case 11, diba? These are the differential diagnosis for that case. So, check mo if tumama yung differential diagnosis mo and what you would want for follow-up. And then, na-explain niya bakit yun yung mga differential diagnosis. So, it's a really nice book. I love it. Worth it. Okay, so yun. So far, survived first sem of second year. Sana by second semester, we already have a bit of face-to-face classes kasi super dami naming na-miss, especially sa first year. Wala kaming dissection at all. venipuncture dapat yata is also in first year biochemistry, I'm not sure. Pero yun nga, wala kami nagawa either way. And it's really sad for me, especially yung Veni, kasi I was really looking forward to it as someone na hindi naman nag-allied course ng college. So yun, I think I have to catch up by the time na mag-face-to-face na. Yung mga lab, medyo okay lang, you have pictures, pero syempre iba pa rin yung kind ng memory na nare-retain mo when you have, you call that memory? When you see it for yourself, you touch it, mas marami kang points for retrieval, diba? Kesa pictures lang. And, yun nga, sad. Pero yung mga actual lab, yung mga staining, sana na-experience ko yun. Pero hindi ko siya na-experience. Blood smear, we tried, pero saan ako ang dugo? Well, I could prick my finger ganun, pero yun nga, iba pa rin talaga. Tsaka wala siyang anti-coagulant. Sad. So yun, I could only do yung mga physical examination yun. We have our kit, STED and everything else to practice at home. Pero yung mga kailangan talaga sa laboratory, wala kami. So that is so sad. Hindi ko sure kung na-explain ko na, pero merong promo board system dito ko lang na-encounter by the way. Meron siyang mga rules and iba yung grading system niya kasi usually tres is 75, diba? Pero tres is 2.75. And tres means bagsak ka pero pinasa ka. Parang ganun because of promo boards. So ang gist niya is pwedeng pag-usapan yan. For example, hindi ko kinaya yung CD and bumagsak ako pero hindi naman less than 75 yung grade. I mean, hindi naman bagsak na bagsak. 72, ganon. 72 yata yung cutoff. 72 yung grade ko. Hindi siya pasado. Hindi ako 2.75 kasi hindi nga siya 75, diba? Pero, kung yun lang, that's my only failing subject. Dahil nag-iisa lang siya, i-auto pass na ako dun. Hindi ko kailangan mag-removals or anything. And because it's 72 above, pero if it's lower than that, I could take the removals. But since it's 72, auto pass na siya. I would get 3. What if ang dami mong bagsak? You get 3 subjects na 72 lahat. Hindi ko na alam. Pero it just means na you have chances for removals. You have chances na ma-auto pass if it's just one subject and you're not really that failing. You're not too low, gano'n. Hindi ka talaga feeling status, kaya pang hatakin. And yun rin pala. Because of that, dahil transparent naman yung grading system, we're given the grading system for each subject before, and we know the promo board rules. Before the semester, I already do my own Excel sheets for grade tracking. So, I put there each activity, anong grade, and then just enter some formulas, gano'n. And you can predict your grade na. And they release it naman, especially sa midterms, kasi before the deadline of dropping. So, yes, they release that thing para, you know, if kaya mo pang ilaban yung subject. Pero if you think, kaya mong ilaban, go ilaban mo. Baka naman carry bills na ma-regular ka pa, diba? Pero if malayo na siya sa katotohanan, tipong kailangan mo ng perfect sa finals para makapasa, huwag na lang. Parang papahirapan mo lang din sarili mo. Oh, and one more thing. Yes, I passed the subjects, pero ang dami kong bagsak sa shifting exams. As in, bagsak talaga. Hindi ko alam kung kinulang ako sa aral or mahirap lang talaga sila. Or both. Pero ang dami ko talagang bagsak. Especially sa pharma and patho. Super dami kong bagsak doon. Pero dahil nga by the time na mag-major exams na, that's supposedly the 4th time I read the chapter, watch the lecture. Medyo mas madali na siya, pero grabe talaga yung feeling ko. Parang 70% lang yata yung shifting exams ko. patho, ganun. Sa pharma, basta less than 75 din siya. Ang lala talaga. Pero yun, sa major exams, bawing-bawi dapat. And meron kasing curve, pan-curve-ish. Hirap explain, factor. Basta, don't rely sa factor lang. Parang ano na yun, last saving grace mo na yun. You really have to do well and try to get a score above the mean para kung mag-factor man, pasadong-pasado ka pa rin. Good luck! Enjoy your bakasyon!